Well, Fitz, camp is technically over. You guys started in on Stanford today, started some of that game planning, so you can talk about it in hindsight. What were you most pleased about in camp?
Well, I think the guys really came in great shape and ready to get themselves prepared for a really challenging opener. I mean, I think as you look at, who we're playing and the challenge that we have in front of us, there's not very many teams that have that type of opening game like we have, and they had to come in ready to go, and I think every day we got better and we improved, and the attitude was great, so really pleased with camp.
You mentioned the opener, and we've talked about slow starts these past few years. Now, you won the opener last year, and then it went south before you guys ended up in the Big Ten championship game. I know you've thought a lot about the slow starts, though, through the years. What do you do to try to avoid it?
Well, you coach them better, you execute better, you take care of the ball, you run the football, you don't give up explosive plays. I mean, there's very specific reasons why we lost some of those games. It's disappointing, but football is not how you start, it's how you finish. And I thought a year ago we made a statement with the way we finished.
To stay with the openers, last year, tough opener, this year, tough opener. Advantages and disadvantages of that kind of opening game.
Yeah, advantage, obviously motivation in the offseason and through camp. You're playing a great team, and if you don't put everything into it, you're going to get embarrassed. And we're playing a great team in Stanford in the opener. Disadvantage, having a young quarterback, whoever starts, playing that challenging of a game. A year ago, having Clayton going through the issues with his recovery from his knee was a huge challenge. So, just go out, hopefully, and get ourselves prepared and then go play well.
One of the things we don't see a lot at the end of practice is a lot of conditioning that you guys got in today. What's the mindset behind that?
Well, we're gonna be able to run all day. I mean, I'm sure it's well documented. We play in a lot of close games, and we win them. We win them because of that. We win them because we don't break down mentally. We don't flinch mentally. We're in great cardiovascular shape, and as you know, you're being in the arena, the first thing that goes when you get tired is your mind. And when your mind goes, you don't execute the fundamentals, and you make mistakes. And it's something that we believe in here. Our guys can run for days.
Some competitions at positions other than quarterback or rotations?
Well, I think on the offensive line, we got a lot of competition. Defensive line, a ton of competition. We're going to see a lot of guys play, especially on the defensive line. Secondary-wise, I think we're as deep as we've been. I think that group is athletic. I really like the young group that we brought in. Wide receiver, I think we've got as much competitive depth as we've ever had, Coach. And I think that's going to be needed, especially with the young quarterback, whoever ends up starting.
You have leadership turnover every year. How have you seen the leadership grow this summer, and who are some of the guys that you're going to be counting on?
Yeah, really impressed with Jarrett Thomas. I thought Jarrett's really stepped up. Veteran center, it's critically important that offensive line to have somebody in control, and there's no doubt he's in control inside. I think Bennett Skoronek's really stepped up in his leadership on the outside. He's done a really good job throughout his career as a player, but now to step that up. Defensively, guys, Joe Gaziano, Patty Fisher, Gallagher, those are three pretty stalwarts. And then in the back half, Travis and J.R. Pace are two guys that I think are as good as safeties as you're going to see in this league.
You've mentioned the quarterback a couple times. I know you're not going to tell us who's going to start, so I'm not even going to ask you who's going to start.
I figured I'd announce it right now.
But what stood out? It's clearly between T.J. Green and Hunter Johnson. So what stood out about each one of those guys in camp?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think they've both executed at a pretty high level. They've both taken care of the football better than the other quarterbacks. And when we've gone move the ball, scrimmage-type situations, they've moved the ball down the field with the most efficiency. Now as we move forward, we know we're going to have two ready, and I think we've got two really good ones. I think the whole room, I told you prior to practice, I think the whole room is really solid. But those two guys have separated themselves, and they've been getting a line share of the reps the last 2 weeks, and we feel great about where we're at that position.
Finally, you mentioned you guys are not only the defending West champions, but you won it by 3 games, and yet virtually no one picked you to win it. You're not ranked by the AP. I mentioned this to you in media days. I saw a major publication that did not pick you to make a bowl game this season. How much of that is motivation for your guys?
Yeah, I think sometimes you can use external factors to help you out a little bit. I appreciate all the support, the motivation. Our guys have kind of approached it where everybody else can talk, and we're just going to work. And then when the ball goes up in the air, it's time to earn it. And that's what we have to do. We're a program that I think still a lot of national media thinks it's the program before I played, and that's okay. And I think a couple games have been the narrative, right? We lost to an Illinois State team, an Akron team, a couple Duke losses, a Western Michigan loss over the last 4 years. Those have kind of been more the definition of our team instead of 36 wins in a Big Ten West championship. So, don't worry about the things you can't control. What you can't control is how you work, and then whether or not you go earn it on game day. And I think that's been the mindset and the focus of our guys. Now a huge daunting challenge in the opener.
Head coach of the Wildcats, Pat Fitzgerald. Thanks a lot for your time, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Go Cats.